Hi, I'm Snow, and this is
Gas and Go with Snow. Time to steal the show.
Welcome to another episode of Gas and Go with Snow. We are here in my home state. Many of you know I'm from Tishomingo, Oklahoma, and we are in Broken Arrow, Oklahoma. We came across a name, ACD. And we're like, well, they build cords. They're the cord specialists. Well, we got to go talk to those guys. So we come in, and Adam, first of all, thanks for taking the time to talk to me.
That's great.
I did not expect the warm reception that we got from you.
Yeah, good.
The second
That's Oklahoma. You should expect it, right?
well, yes, I know, right? I was telling the boys, it's a different community over here,
That's
right? People in Oklahoma, look out for your neighbors. But
That's it.
first of all, tell me a little bit about how did you come to, work on Auburn Cord Duesenberg?
I mean, I don't know if I had a choice. I'm third generation, so I was born into it. I grew up playing hide and go seek in these bins, and this is where I spent my childhood, and of course, growing up. Never thought I'd be here managing it or being a part of it in that way.
Right.
Always tinkered on cars and those sorts of things.
Okay.
But my grandpa, Glenn Prey, he was kind of made famous back in the 1960s because he bought the Auburn Cord Duesenberg Company out of Auburn, Indiana.
Yeah, Indiana.
Right. So he bought that company in 1960 and relocated it here to Broken Arrow, Oklahoma. So he bought all the original parts, new old stock parts that were still there, any inventory, any of that sort of stuff. Right. Brought it here with the idea and the hope of reproducing those cars again, doing something related to those cars. What he ended up doing was creating a second generation car. A lot of people use the word reproduction. In reality, he started the whole kit car craze and phase that happened. And I think that ultimately for the industry, that's good. A lot of the purists don't necessarily love that aspect of it, and that was never his goal. His goal was to pay homage to these original cars, to create vehicles that had this classic design, this classic style that he loved so much, and he spent his whole life kind of just reveling in the beauty of all of that and the design and appreciating the engineering. And so, but doing that, this classic design with modern amenities. So things like power steering, with a reliable engine.
Classic resto mod.
Yeah, right. So he would have been the first, in that sense. But having the kind of the name, the backing, the brands, owning those. So having, kind of that, let's call it the clout of kind of the original factory and the original brands, under his roof, and then coming out and redoing it in the 1960s, created quite a sensation at the time. Oh, yeah. And then, a lot of innovation related to that. So there weren't really any front wheel drive cars. Cord did it first. But he came out and designed a front-wheel drive car, so that was a big deal. First car that wasn't a steel-bodied car. Partnered with U.S. Rubber, and did a rubber car. So that was an interesting thing, a plastic vehicle. So a lot of innovations at the time and design elements that like I said, paid homage to those original cars. And so. So he did that, and after he passed away, my dad kind of took over and started really getting into and focusing more on the restoration of original cars. So we actually don't do a lot with the Glenn Prey cars. They don't need a lot. They're still modern enough, and they're running and working, and people can work on them themselves because they got Ford engines in them. And but so our bread and butter now is restoring original cars, and we only do ACD cars, Auburn Cord Duesenbergs. That's where we live. So, I talk about, like our customer base is maybe 3,000 worldwide or something. So it's very, very niche in that sense. But
let's check out a couple of cords.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
So
I had never heard of a cord until we got one in the shop. Yeah. And then on my Sturgis trip, I go to Sturgis every year, and I go to a place, Murdo, South Dakota. And I find two of these. Two of them at the Pioneer Auto Show. Okay. And I was like, wow, never heard of one, and now I see three. We got one in the shop, and and the two there. And then we come in here, and if you don't mind, Danny Boy, pan around and look at the stable.
You'll notice most of them have the cover off, the front bumper off, because transmissions are a big deal, which I know for you guys, that was kind of one of the elements for the owner of your car was trying to figure out how to make this thing more reliable and modernize it. So I appreciate that, wanting to modernize it. I think it's a cool thing.
So what Adam is talking about, this is the transmission. Yeah. And this thing was hydraulically controlled, right? And then, can I sit in this guy?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so one of the things that was unique about this car is when you wanted to shift. So if you're driving, all right, if we're driving, I'm cruising along, I select the gear I want to be in with this little knob.
Yeah,
so if I wanted to be, it's like a pre-selector. So I'd put it there, then mash the clutch. The transmission does its thing, goes into the appropriate gear, and you release the clutch, and you're off to the races. When you're ready to shift, you pre-select your gear again, and then mash the clutch, and then take off, right? Yep. So a lot of really innovative things in a Cord. So, and for the people that follow us, if you look at this dash, there's the engine turn pattern, which makes a really nice piece. So
it's one of the prettiest dashes, I think,
absolutely.
ever.
And when we redid the Cord, we maintained this exact look.
Yeah.
Now, the engine turn pattern is a little bit bigger, and it's done by hand.
Yeah, all these are done by hand. That's what you got to do.
And we eliminated these guys, and we kept the exact same symmetry. And then we have the drive and reverse selectors here. Right. So we made use of all this, and I'll show you some pictures of it, but it looks just like this. We kept this, right? And even the pedals, the floor, everything looks the same.
Yeah.
With modern instrumentation, obviously, in there.
So one of the things that's special about this car, a wonderful owner of this car brought it in. We've been doing some service work, did some touch up on paint. But it's it's a Phaeton, so it's the convertible with the back seat.
Right.
But then it has a bustle back. So there's only 2 known to have been produced by the factory originally.
A bustle back.
That
what is
have
a bustle back?
this extra trunk space. And so they had
that totally looks like an old, like a woman's bustle. Look at that.
Yes.
Because ours literally swoops right down and follows this line.
That's normal. I mean, that's what you can see. The rest of the ones in here, that's the way they do. So the sedans typically had a bustle back like this one. I don't know if you can see that.
Yeah, I can see it.
But so that is more typical. But in the convertible models, they didn't do that a lot. Yeah. And this is the only one that we know that still exists. There were 2 originally that were made from the factory with this bustle back like that. So it's kind of a unique feature about this car. It's kind of neat, but I don't know if I like the looks better. I actually probably don't like it necessarily better, but it makes it rarer.
No.
And
I like the fastback look a little better. It makes the car look more sleek and certainly faster.
Well, and for me, so the superchargers have outside pipes.
Yeah. That's what we have. We have the supercharged version.
But actually, from a looks and an aesthetic standpoint, I think the non-supercharged car, and the lines are just so clean, and it's a beautiful thing. So it's a preference, but but absolutely.
All right. So I noticed, like you said, that almost every one has the transmission cover off.
Yeah, and they're almost always leaking. So I mean, that's one of the reasons they come in here is for us. I mean, this transmission will be rebuilt. It's a first and reverse are stripped out. So if you're Cord guys, that's common.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
And then now I know of a few other features that made the Cord unique, and I mean, revolutionized the automotive industry.
Right.
Pop-up headlights.
Yeah.
First car to do that. First car to have the split windshield.
Right.
First car to have the coffin nose.
I was going to say, so the radiator, not being separated, being incorporated into the hood, all that.
So anything else that maybe we don't know about that we missed out on?
I think the things that comes to mind, obviously front-wheel drive. You didn't mention that, but that's the big thing that was revolutionary. But because it's front-wheel drive, it's set lower to the ground.
Yeah.
So all the cars were kind of up and almost had more of a tractor feel.
Right.
This, I think that's part of what made this design so
sleek, sporty.
I think it was 20 years or more ahead of its time.
At least.
This beautiful Art Deco design is just way ahead of its time. Yeah. Absolutely.
Okay. All right. Well, can we pop up one of the headlights?
Yeah, sure.
Because don't they're actuated separately, right?
Yes.
All right. So
this one's dusty. If I'd have known y'all would come, we'd have cleaned up a little bit.
No, it's totally okay. Let's see.
Is it working? There you go.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah.
Pop-up headlights.
Yep.
And there we go. And then come back down. And my understanding is that the engineer that designed this car, he was only like 24, 25 years old.
Yeah, a year ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, a young man, obviously an artist.
Yeah.
I mean, ahead of his time.
Okay, well,
sure.
I definitely want to see what you got hidden back here. So what is this black and yellow car?
So this is a gorgeous car. This is a customer that actually kind of brought it in last minute, said, hey, we have homecoming for my daughter in a couple of weeks, but the car's not running right. So we've just, I mean, a tune-up and going through it, making sure mechanically it's going to run sound and be reliable for them. But a gorgeous car. So this is an Auburn Speedster.
Okay.
And this is a 12-cylinder. So that's what makes this, you know, unique and valuable. Yeah, it's a gorgeous car.
This thing is
this is probably the upper echelon of Auburn's. Is what you know people want.
So now, again, just looking at this looks like a concourse level build here.
Yeah, it's definitely a nice restoration. I don't know how old of a restoration. It's not super fresh, but it still looks very fresh, and you know, they did a good job with it.
Now, is the hood open? Can we look at that motor?
Yeah, let's take a look.
Man, I'm scared to touch anything on this thing.
Yeah. Well, this one did just get cleaned up. I don't know how clean the engine compartment is yet. See if that.
Wow, that is a massive motor. So it's a V12.
Yeah, V12. So, and it actually almost functions like two separate engines.
Okay.
So on this side, so these all fire together, then you have the other side as well. So it's again, a crazy design.
That doesn't throw the motor off, like out of balance?
No, and I'm not the mechanic, and I probably shouldn't even bring it up because I'm talking out of my depth. And I know in all these things you have guys that this is what they live and breathe. So as soon as I start explaining it, I'm gonna make all those guys mad.
All the haters are like, no, it's 2468.
Yeah, right. So, but I mean, it's again, I mean, a huge motor. In the day, you know, the most horsepower available, and just
then the wire wheels. I mean, that is just a classy look.
Gorgeous.
You have the knockoff, and then look at those headlights. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, the chrome and the detail. I mean, it's just
the chrome is just massive.
It's a beautiful car.
Yeah. All right. Well, what do we have outside? I saw something pretty nice out there.
Yeah, so that's a fun one.
Dude, this is an amazing piece, and look at the hood emblem. That is nice. And this is a massive car, but it looks so sleek, and it just looks fast. And I noticed like the boat tail.
Yeah, it looks fast standing still for sure. But iconic design on the boat tail, one of the prettiest rear ends of any car.
Now, would this have been an original color scheme from the period?
No, probably not. I mean, you know, they were known for having, you know,
didn't they have
a
like
lot
the
of
big
options
pastel
and colors and all that,
and
a lot of different colors. But also, they would have done whatever the customer wanted. You know, so all these cars were hand built.
Right. I was going to say these. Right. Didn't they a person would buy the car, and whoever they purchased it from, Auburn, Ducey, whatever, they would send it to a coach builder that built the car to the customer spec.
Right, so that would have been, Duesenberg did that for sure.
Okay.
So Auburn, they came off the line like that, but they would have sold custom to a customer, you know, based on his preference. They had factory colors, factory, you know, standards or specs that they, you know, built cars to, but at the same time, again, you know, you're dealing with a wealthier class. It was used to getting customized things. This car was on American Pickers. I don't know if y'all remember that.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So that's...
Now, I got one big question.
Yeah.
How do these things handle?
Well,
as far as, you know, like, well, let's specifically a Cord. How does that handle?
I was going to say, depending, I mean, the Cord of all the cars handles the best. Again, it was light years ahead of its time.
Yeah.
You know, related to that. I mean, sometimes they'll have, you know, they call it a death wobbler or whatever in the front end if the geometry of the front end's not set up right. So we get cars in pretty regularly. Customers can't figure that out.
Okay.
So we're, you know,
and now is that something loose, tires out of balance, brakes?
Well, it can be it can be any of that stuff. And the way that the front end geometry is set up, like a lot of times they're getting them setting up too high.
Okay.
And so not enough tension on springs or you know something in the geometry that just doesn't work.
Okay.
But
So tell me about this guy. What do we have here?
Yeah, so this one's fun. This is the last car that my grandpa produced or manufactured. So this is, we call this an Auburn dual cowl Phaeton. So the cowl is what they call this section, right, which where the dash is located. Okay. And this has two of those, so it's a dual cowl. Okay. That's where that terminology comes from. And it's a Phaeton because it's a convertible.
Yeah, the convertible. Okay, now is that what the designation is? That's what that is?
Yeah, that's what that is.
Okay.
So
well, hey, get a look at this dash.
This is... So this is the people being chauffeured around could monitor what their driver's doing, and
so they could tell
keep
that their
them in
driver's
line.
doing 160 miles an hour.
That's right. That's right. Hey, time to slow down.
I know,
or
right?
speed up.
Yeah. Well, hey.
So this got a Ford 460 in it.
Okay.
But this was actually the story that is told that's kind of funny about this is this was my, grandpa's idea and kind of even dream to be able to, manufacture this car. Had this idea of doing a dual cowl, and he was describing it.
Okay.
My dad was a kid at the time in high school and overheard him talking about this.
Okay.
So he was taking drafting class in high school, and so he sketched up a drawing of what he was thinking Grandpa was talking about.
Yeah.
And so one day he brought it into his office and he said, "Hey, look at what I drew." He said, "Oh, that's the dual cowl. That's the car that I want to build. That's beautiful, man. Great job." And so it's sitting on his desk. Well, later a customer comes in and he says, "What is that?" And Glenn says, "Oh, that's the dual cowl that I'm going to build."
Yeah.
And he goes, "Well, I want the first one." He said, "Okay, but I need $5,000 down today to secure it." He said, "All right," wrote the check right there and put it in, and that's how the car was created.
And that's how.
They had to go
so
design
your
the
dad,
cars
did the initial, initial rendering. Was your pop?
Yeah. And I have, when he was in high school drafting class, and I have the picture actually in my office, his hand drawn.
Oh, I definitely want to see that.
So that's just came out of their Grandpa's brain.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, so one of the things I'm noticing here now. When I looked under the hood, I said, "Oh, yeah, hey, that's a Ford, right?"
Right. Yeah, that's a big block.
But I didn't.
460 Ford.
What is all of this and?
So Grandpa was a showman, if nothing else.
Okay.
And so he loved air horns.
Okay.
So at his house, even in like his little showroom, he had train horns, air horns, stuff like that. So he wanted to add all that stuff. They would not have come like this.
So is that just a?
Yeah, it's loud, and this one actually has musical horns, so it's
musical horns.
Yeah.
Oh, we got to hear that.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we're just the button right here in the middle.
Yep.
So I just press and hold.
Should do it.
Okay. All right. Here we go.
That's it, man. It's good stuff.
You know what? That might be my favorite thing on the car.
It doesn't matter what cars are in the parade.
Okay.
If you got a $4 million Duesenberg, it doesn't matter. When this car drives by and honks that horn, it gets all the applause, all the smiles.
Yeah, everybody's all like, yeah!
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
All right. Well, hey, can we take this guy for a drive?
Yeah, let's do it. You want to drive it?
Are you serious?
Yeah, let's drive it. You do it. That'd be good.
Okay, let's do it.
Should I sit in the back or should I sit in the front?
No, you got to sit in the front. Miss Daisy will be in the back.
Right. One of the things that even as a kid growing up around here that I always appreciated about Grandpa is that everything was usable, drivable. He was not one of those people, like he didn't like trailer queens. Most of the time he would even go and do a show, he would drive the cars.
Yeah. Okay, so what do I need to know here?
All right, this is your brakes. So put your, take that off.
Okay.
And it's an automatic, so it drives just like a modern car.
Okay.
Like I said, it's Ford 460, so you probably want to give it some gas, but you can start it right there.
All right. I'm gonna use both feet here. Oh man, that fired right up.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's supposed to.
Okay, so
you're gonna lift up on that and then go into reverse.
And then we forward or reverse?
Backwards. Yeah, right there.
There we go. All right. And we're gonna go up that way, right?
Yeah, go back out that way.
And get comfortable here. This thing is surprisingly smooth.
Right? It again, like a modern car. That was the goal.
Yeah.
It's got to drive well.
And what I'm doing right here, I'm just kind of getting a feel for the brakes and
Yep, that's it.
Oh, that's just too easy. Dude, this power steering is finger light. All right.
Yeah, it's very drivable. This is the car that family we always, weddings or parades or, all those kind of events, and it's always a fun one to drive.
All right. I'm gonna get used to it with my big old feet here. All right, let's see. Is this gonna scrape or anything?
It might.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, a little bit. Okay, there we go. All right. That's got good torque.
Yeah. Yeah, get on it.
Now, what's the transmission in here? I'm guessing a modern transmission.
Yeah, and again, it was paired with the Ford 460, and I should probably know what transmission that is, but it is automatic.
Okay. This is so smooth. Now, the 30s, 40s, not really my era as far as like my preference. I like 60s American muscle, and, late 50s. But these things are so cool. It's just an iconic design. It's one of those things that no matter what your taste in automobiles, you can appreciate it.
Right.
If that makes sense, But,
yeah, absolutely. And that was, I think, again, the heart behind what my grandpa tried to do was keep these cars alive, keep these designs current, and with the having appeal to a current generation.
Yeah.
Which is what I love about what you guys did. Yeah. With the Cord, is that you're bringing it up to a new generation to be interested in it and to be excited about it. And, it's I think it's an important thing. Yeah. For our industry and these brands. So again, for us, we're passionate about Auburn's, Cords, and Duesenbergs. And so I appreciate the purist. Like I said, our bread and butter is restoring originals back to their original condition and specializing in that. Right. But man, I love seeing innovation. I love great craftsmanship and good design. And again, something that's going to appeal to the next generation, I think is important.
Yeah. Well, that's one of the things that I really appreciate about our build is now Eddie B and our guy Johnny 5, they actually did the design and the fabrication. So Eddie B, the guy you met, he did the design and Johnny 5 did the fab. And when you look under the hood of that car, it looks like that's how it should have been. That's how it should have come. Absolutely. And when you open the hood, it gives you something to look at. In the military, if you didn't want to or didn't know how to explain something, you'd say, it's PFM. It's pure freaking magic. Right. And that's what you see when you open the hood of an electric vehicle. You just see something. Well, how does it work? That box does some stuff. Right. But in the Cord build, you open it and you can see this is what makes the electricity. There's the motor. This is the batteries. And so you actually see the working components, and it's shiny and it catches the eye.
And they're not ugly. You can see the components and they're not ugly. Yeah. They look mechanical. They look industrial.
Yeah, and it looks like those parts should be there.
Oh, that's what you got to do, man.
Hey, we got some scratch. When on my bicycle when I was a kid, that's what we would call it.
Yeah.
Got some scratch. Yeah. But yeah, no, I mean this thing is so easy to drive.
Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah. I'm totally digging it.
And you got to hang the arm out. That's part of the rules,
you got to. You got to have the arm. You got to have the arm out. Well, you know what, man? I really appreciate it. And like I said, I'm blown away by the reception that we got, because I was worried about, you did that to a Cord?
Right.
But it seems like you just embraced the innovation right off. Yeah. All right, now we turn it right?
Yeah, you can turn it right here.
Okay.
At the light, and it'll go through the industrial part.
Yeah, and it's just, like I said, I feel like, and not just with the Cord, but with the cars that we've been covering, like the Mustang. The Mustang will be on the road for another 60 years. Right. And what we did is we took these cars that, maybe on their deathbed, and we, revitalized them and put them back on the road, and people can enjoy them with a little bit of modern, modern convenience, modern reliability, modern power.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I think, I love what you guys have done, and like I said, you got to appreciate it. You got to appreciate the engineering. You got to appreciate, again, even the art form and the attention to detail that went into all that, and making sure it's not just slapped in there, but it's actually has a visual appeal too. I love it. I love everything you guys are doing. Yeah, well, we had a lot of hours in that car, but now, the next one, if somebody wanted to do one, it's almost plug and play. Now we've already done the hard part. Right. So hopefully maybe we can work with you guys here pretty soon. Yeah, I would love that. I mean, we have customers on a fairly regular basis that are talking about, hey, we love the Cord, but we'd like for it to be more reliable. Yes, we're turned right here. One of the issues, I think, that the reason that the Cord hasn't gone up in value as compared to some of the Auburns or, of course, the Duesenbergs, I think a big reason is because they end up getting parked in people's showrooms and they aren't able to actually enjoy them because they struggle with the vacuum system, they struggle with the transmission not shifting properly, or they're a little too finicky for the average person. Right. And honestly, even mechanics. I mean, a big part of what we do is somebody took a transmission to a shop to be rebuilt, or they, fix this or fix that, and it's working worse than it did before. Hey, can you guys just fix it? And so even for a seasoned mechanic or somebody that's used to rebuilding transmissions, it's just so different. It's just a different system. And so, you know, I think, you know, that's just affected the value through the years, that if people had a way to enjoy the cord, that
they do it more.
You know, that they would just do it more. And I think it would be, you know, like I said, a win-win for everybody. You can turn right here.
This is so cool. Yeah. I really appreciate you taking the time to sit down with us and talk a little bit, because, you know, around the shop, you know, we have one of our guys is the Welshman, and Matty, he's from Wales, and he says all the time, he's like, oh, every day's a school day. And it's been our whole lesson, you know, today about, you know, the cars and the build and, you know, I mean, just in general.
Well, and, you know, back to the point earlier too, there's just not a lot of shops that are specializing in this. So, I mean, you know, like right now we've got, I think, 7 cords. You're going to turn right here. I think right now we've got, you know, I think 7 cords in the shop and 4 or 5 Auburns. You just aren't going to go into any shop probably in the world and see that. There's just not too many of those. And so the experience that we get every day, that our technicians in our shop, you know, we've rebuilt from scratch, I think, 3 cord transmissions this year. So it's just that they have a knowledge, they have an education, you know, that a lot of the other shops aren't going to have. And in the end, that saves our customers money, you know, and it gets their cars back on the road, gets them enjoying it, back at the homecoming parades with their kids, and you know, enjoying these vehicles and get them on the road.
Well, I hope, you know, by us doing this video, that, you know, we get a little more publicity, get it out there, so more people know what you guys are doing. I mean, this is awesome, and I really appreciate what you guys are doing here, because again, you know, you're keeping these cars on the road and helping people enjoy them.
Absolutely, man. Well, it's our pleasure. We enjoy it. We get to come to work every day and work on these kind of cars.
I know, right? You got the dream job, man. You know, I always say, if I never had to, you know, raise kids and pay for a house and, you know, college and all this stuff, I would have just played with cars.
That's right.
And so now that I'm retired,
lived in your shop and, you know, play with cars.
Just play with cars. Now that's what I get to do.
That's great.
And I get to meet cool people like you and drive cool cars like this.
Man. It's been a pleasure.
All right. Hey, thanks for taking the time to do this, man.
Pleasure.
I appreciate it. Hey, we'll see you guys next time on Gas and Go with Snow.
The king of the streets got the swagger, oh my. First shot he needs to do with a low rider machine. Cherry red paint, chrome wheels they gleam. Snow pulls out his camera, ready to roll. Gas and Go with Snow, time to steal the show.